you bet. This is good, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Hello everybody, and thank you for joining us today. For those that are joining online, please press *1 to enter the queue or ask for an operator to ask your question. We'll begin with remarks from Chief Katie McLellan. We also have Chief Strategy Officer and General Counsel Catherine Murphy here who can answer questions. When we get to the question phase, we will first take questions from the floor and then we will open it up to online questions. So with that, we will begin with a statement from the Chief.
Okay, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. For those of you who don't know me, as you just heard, I'm Katie McLellan, and as she also said, I'm joined by Chief Strategy Officer and General Counsel Catherine Murphy. Catherine oversees our Professional Standards Section and Investigations Unit. When I had the honour of being appointed as the Chief of this service, I committed to being transparent and accountable. Today I stand before you doing that. However, it is with disappointment and embarrassment that I am here today. Earlier today, 3 servant officers with the Calgary Police Service were charged in relation to 2 separate but linked investigations. These investigations were carried out with oversight by the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team. This investigation began in January 2025 when we became aware of concerns that a member was behaving inappropriately towards women he met on duty. We also received a report from a member of the public in March 2025. It is alleged that an officer met women during the course of his duties and had or attempted to have personal and sexual contact with them, both on and off duty. Constable Adam McBride has been charged with 4 counts of breach of trust under the Criminal Code. It is also alleged that another officer was aware of and encouraged or facilitated the alleged conduct of Constable McBride. As a result, Constable David Harms has been charged with 2 counts of breach of trust under the Criminal Code. During the investigation, direct messages were uncovered where a photo of a partially naked woman was shared without consent. As a result, Constable Tyler Hoberstad has been charged with 1 count of breach of trust and 1 count of distribution of an intimate image under the Criminal Code. All 3 officers are relieved from duty without pay, and yesterday I accepted the resignation of Constable McBride. While a legal process will take time and limits what we can share publicly, I want Calgarians to know this. We take these matters extremely seriously. This investigation and sharing this news with you today, as I have already said, reflects our commitment to thorough and transparent accountability. We understand that serious allegations involving the conduct of serving members, even while off duty, can significantly affect the public's trust and confidence in us. That trust is foundational, and we remain steadfast in upholding the highest standards of conduct for our members and earning the confidence of the community we serve. We recognize a power imbalance that exists between police officers and members of the public. Anyone who believes they have received inappropriate contact of a personal nature by a police officer is encouraged to report such circumstances to the Professional Standards Section. This behavior is not reflective of the values of the service: respect, honesty, compassion, courage, fairness, accountability, and integrity, nor the good work done by the majority of our members. This is a service full of pride and commitment to the city, with 3,222 sworn and civilian members. Today, many of them, along with myself, will not feel proud. However, we remain committed and we will strive to do better. Given this matter is now before the courts and the investigation was overseen by ASIRT, I am limited in what I can share. However, before I take some questions, I will ask the Chief Strategy Officer to discuss the elements of the charge of breach of trust. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. We wanted to provide an overview of just the offense of breach of trust, given that it's a fairly rare charge. It's not a charge that we lay frequently. It really has a couple of key elements. The first is that it has to involve a public official, in this case, a police officer. The second is that the conduct was carried out in connection with the duties of the police officer's office, so for example, on duty. The third element is that the police officer has to have breached the standard demanded of them by virtue of their office in a serious or marked way. So we laid these charges when we determined we had reasonable grounds to believe that those elements of these offenses were met.
Thank you, CSO. We'll now turn it over to questions from the floor. Any questions?
When you were speaking, you said the press release refers to one person as the, if I can use the word victim in this. You used the word women. Do you think there are more people who have had inappropriate contact with this officer?
So right now we know that there are 6 victims, and anyone else who believes that they have been dealt with or acted inappropriately by a police officer are encouraged to call the professional standards section.
Are any or all of these victims youth?
No, none of them are youth.
Any other questions from the floor?
And when you say that inappropriate contact took place on duty and off duty, are you implying sexual relations occurred while the officer was on duty?
So as you heard in my speaking notes, what's in the charge document is that, I'll just go back to exactly what it was. And as you can imagine, this is an active investigation. So I'll just go back and read you exactly what I said. And so again, it's alleged that an officer met women during the course of his duties and had or attempted to have personal and sexual contact with them both on and off duty.
All right, no other questions from the floor?
I just
Alyssa.
have a clarification, actually. When you talk about these investigations being separate but linked, is that linkage from sharing the photo then of the partially naked woman? Is that where that comes from?
I'll let the Chief Strategy Officers answer that.
Unfortunately, that's not a detail we're able to give you, given that it's before the courts. Yeah.
Okay, I have one more question for you, actually.
Yes.
You were talking about the 3 pillars of this charge. I got the first 2, I missed the last one. Can you go through number 3?
Yeah. The last one is that the police officer had to breach the standard demanded of them. So the standard the community demands of a police officer in a serious or marked way. Yeah.
Great.
You've acknowledged the power imbalance there is between officers and the public, so I'm just wondering, is there any structural changes that you're going to bring about to gain the trust of the Calgarians again?
Yeah, thanks for that. And so being here today is one of those. And it's all about building the appropriate culture in the service. And as I said earlier, the majority of our members, both sworn and civilian, are good members of this Calgary Police Service. They are committed to serving this city. They adhere to the core values. They're here to serve and protect. We have good leadership in this service. We have open communication. We have a supportive communication. We ensure police officers have the right tools, the right resources. We put other opportunities in place for people to come forward. And so we try very, very hard for that. In that, obviously, through this situation and through others, there's always something that we can learn. There's always something that we can do better. As were my last comments in my opening remarks, I get what we've got here, and we are striving to do better, and we will do better.
You've said there were 6 potential victims. But this person's been a member of the service for quite a while. It doesn't seem like this is the sort of thing that just spontaneously happens to someone. Are you worried that there are more people in the past that you don't know about?
As you heard us say, that's still an active investigation, and so we're still looking into all of that.
What happens with the 3 officers now? I recognize that one of them has resigned. Does that absolve them from any sort of internal review or investigation? And what happens to the other 2 that are suspended?
So under the Police Act, he's no longer an active member of the Calgary Police Service, so he will continue to go through the criminal processes. And with respect to the 2 other individuals, once we had enough evidence to support a suspension without pay, those officers were initially suspended with pay and then without pay.
Okay, great. Thank you from the floor. Operator, can you please put through our next caller?
The first question comes from Megan Grant of CBC. Your line is already open.
Great. Can everybody hear me?
You bet.
Great. The 6 women that you mentioned, can you say if any of them were complainants in domestic violence or sexual assault cases?
I don't have that information, and can you got some information?
One of the charges of breach of trust is in respect of a complainant in an aggravated assault investigation. That's public information.
Okay. And can I keep going with questions, or?
Go ahead, Megan.
I want to ask a few questions about the image. Can you confirm whether the woman in that image was either actively overdosing or was in fact dead?
What I can confirm is the image is of a vulnerable woman who was in custody at the time. That's as far as I can go.
Do you have a follow-up,
Okay.
Megan?
And yes, was the image found on one or multiple CPS-issued phones?
Yeah, thanks, Megan. As I said earlier, this is all still part of a ongoing and active investigation, so I'm unable to answer that.
Megan, do you have one last question before we move on?
Well, I heard somebody mention this, and are you able to confirm that the McBride no longer working at CPS is in fact a resignation?
Yes, I can confirm that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Operator, please put through the next caller.
The next question is Hiren Mansukani of Post Media Calgary. Your line is already open.
Hi, thank you for taking my questions. The release states 2 investigations. Can you specify what offences each of the investigation concern and what separates these investigations? Are they separate incidents or separate offences?
What I can offer is that there are 2 investigations, and in total, I will just reiterate that Constable McBride has been charged with 4 counts of breach of trust under 1 investigation. Under the same investigation, Constable Harms was charged with 2 counts of breach of trust, and then under the linked investigation, Constable Halberstad was charged with 1 count of breach of trust and 1 count of distribution of an intimate image.
Karen, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, I do. So the count specifies sexual misconduct. Can you specify if there was sexual abuse? By that I mean, are there any victims, and did any one of them come forward to report the officers?
We use sexual misconduct as a term at the Calgary Police Service. It's not a criminal investigative term. That term is meant to just globally encompass sexual misconduct in and around the workplace. So it may include anything ranging from sexual assault to abuse of power with a sexual element to it, or to sexual harassment. So what happened in this case is not all of those things, but it's as laid out in the charges that the chief identified earlier.
Yeah. So was there sexual abuse in any of these incidents?
The charges are what they are, which is the breach of trust and the distribution of an intimate image. There are no further charges being laid at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hiren. Operator, can you please put through our next caller?
Your next question comes from Megan Grant of CBC. Your line is already open.
I apologize for not getting this from court documents, but do you have handy the offense date range for McBride's charges and then the offense dates for the other charges?
I do. So the charges against Constable McBride ranged in date from May 2023 to March 2025. For Constable Harms, the offense date ranged from May 2023 to October of 2024. And for completeness, the offense date for Constable Haberstad was October 23rd. Sorry, I'm missing the year, but we can get that for you if you need it.
Do you have a follow-up, Megan?
Thank you. Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Looks like we have a question in the room. Go ahead, Kevin.
Just a point of clarification, you just talked about the date range for the offenses for McBride, March 2023 to March, pardon me, January 2023 to March 2025?
May 2023 to March 2025.
Okay, but the press release says the investigations began January of this year.
It did,
So
yes.
I'm reading into that then that offenses continued after the investigation had begun?
Well, what you can take from that is the investigation became very early when we had concerns brought forward internally in the organization, not concerns of the full scope of conduct that were later identified through investigation.
All right. With that, I think we will close the press conference. Thank you for joining us today.